Hello, epic viewers from around the multiverse. Prepare to indulge in experiencing sheer bliss, because today another riveting, captivating, stellar unboxing video is about to be brought to fruition. What items will I be unboxing? What items will I be opening? Without further delay, without further procrastination, allow me to elicit the box. What items are encompassed inside this bulky, hefty, tangible, nifty box? Let's find out. I'm going to demystify that answer to that inquiry right here and now, so bear with me. It will only take me billions of picoseconds to extract the items from the box and subsequently flaunt them in front of the camera for you to feast your glorious eyes on. Here we go. The unboxing process is about to commence. The unboxing process is officially underway. What items have I prompted? What items have I drawn force? Let's find out. By the way, just in case you're unaware, this is the second part of my Mass Effect 3 action figure lot unboxing. So if you've yet to bear witness to the former part, if you've yet to indulge in watching the first part of my Mass Effect 3 action figure lot unboxing, then you can do so at your own discretion, or you can forgo the opportunity to do so. It's up to you. Implement decisions based on your own volition. Do not allow others to persuade you or dissuade you to do anything. Be your own autonomous, sovereign individual that's independent-minded and that does not rely on others to implement decisions. Alrighty, so we have a couple figurines that were obscured by bubble wrap. They're no longer engulfed in bubble wrap. They're about to be liberated. They are, however, relegated to bags. Now, apparently they're derived from the Mass Effect 3 action figure line. The seller's writing isn't very legible. Of course, my vision is abysmal. It's beginning to atrophy. It's beginning to wither away. It's beginning to diminish and decline. So maybe you can more efficaciously read his writing than I can. Nonetheless, I digress. Unfortunately, the armaments fell on the floor. If you buy Mass Effect 3 action figures, new or used, expect to receive a myriad of accessories with them, such as weapons, a helmet, and perhaps other types of armaments that can augment their offensive and or defensive capabilities. The best offense is a good defense, right? Do you believe in that old cliche? Alrighty, so we have an alien figurine who's known by the moniker of Mordin, apparently. Or Mordin. Or Mordin. I can't discern whether the last letter of his name is an M or an N. Who knows? Maybe you can. I love his sculpt. I love his hues. I love his aesthetics. I love his textures. I love his shadings. I love his wardrobe. He has an exquisite design. I love his appearance. He truly embodies a Mass Effect character. Unfortunately, his forearm just became severed. I hope that I can rectify the situation, but I likely cannot. These are the repercussions appertaining to tampering with your action figure's joints. You compromise the integrity of their joints every time you tamper with them. What ensues is that your action figures become dismembered and wind up losing joints. So this calamitous situation can't really be rectified at the moment. The fix is only temporary, as preordained to fall off again. Let's move on. This figurine is meritorious. I love his novelties. His skirt is comprised of rubber that encumbers his movements. His knees and elbows are not double jointed. He lacks finger joint articulation. He lacks a diaphragm joint. His head is not relegated to a disc joint, but rather a ball joint. It seems as though ratchets are embedded in his pelvis that restrict his movements. His latitude for articulation is finite. He can at least ascend and descend his legs at your own discretion. I love his attire. It's truly unique, it's truly uncanny, it's truly novel to say the least. It's visually appealing, it tickles my fancy, it's aesthetically appealing to say the least. He looks relatively neutral. I'm unsure whether or not he's stoic or valiant or noble. It's an enigma. I'm not well acclimated with the lore behind this character. I have no recollection of this character. I barely played Mass Effect 3. Moving on, another figurine that was encompassed within the lot. Is a feminine character. Unfortunately, she doesn't have a utility belt. Her outfit cannot be modified. She's relatively flimsy. She's not a bulky, sturdy hunk of plastic. She cannot move her legs inwards or outwards. However, her arms can be moved inwards or outwards. Her head can be descended or ascended and rotated. She can swivel her arms at your own discretion. You can rotate her forearms and her biceps. They rotate in tandem with one another. Or they rotate as an aggregate or as a totality. They can't rotate separately. In other words, when you rotate the forearms, you trigger the rotation of the biceps. So, it is what it is. She can't perform an angle pivot, nor an ab crunch. She's lacking a diaphragm joint. I detest the fact that her hands are open. I don't like when apertures run through my figurine's hands. I would prefer if they were fisted, or at least had some semblance of articulation. In this context, this particular figurine does not. Maybe her moniker is Miranda, who knows. His handwriting's not very legible for my niche, subjective perspective. So, that's the remainder of the lot. As a totality, I would deem this lot to be meritorious. I recollect paying under $15 per figurine. Am I gratified about my acquisition? Am I content? Am I jubilant? Am I buoyant? Do I have any qualms about this purchasing decision? Well, I love the figurines. I knew what I was getting into prior to the advent of purchasing these figurines. I didn't expect them to possess finger joint articulation. I didn't expect them to possess diaphragm joints. I didn't possess them to possess double jointed knees or double jointed elbows. Nor did I expect them to possess disc joints in their head. So, they didn't exceed my expectations. I thought their joints would be a bit sturdier. Apparently not. The fact that their joints are somewhat loosened compromises their extrinsic and intrinsic value. Why do I say this? Well, the joints are loosened. It's more arduous to place them into dynamic poses. They don't have as much utility. They can't be placed into as many dynamic poses as their joints should innately allow. Furthermore, on the second-hand market, they're going to command a lower, staggering, exorbitant price than they normally would, because people are less inclined to procure figurines that have severed joints and that have loosened joints than they are to procure figurines that have sturdy joints. So it's a calamity. I can't do anything to rectify it at the moment. I'm not going to refine my figurines. I'm not going to modify them. I'm not going to further customize them. I'll just concede to what I purchase. I'll just concede to the ramifications of my own decisions. I did not customize my action figures at the behest of others. I'm disinclined to do so. It's too time consuming and too expensive. Maybe one day, when time permits, but not this day. In the pending years, I'll see to it that these figurines remain unscathed. I'll see to it that they remain in mint and pristine condition. Fortunately, to my benefit, rather than to my detriment, they're not marred with scratches, nor scuffs, nor dinks, nor dents. They're practically in pristine condition, so their appearances are not greatly impaired. Now, if you relish the Mass Effect series, if you have a propensity to play every single Mass Effect game, then you'll likely be inclined to procure these figurines. They'll likely appeal to your niche interests. Why? Well, they stand roughly 6 to 7 inches tall. They have intricate, robust, novel designs. They emulate the appearances of characters derived from the Mass Effect video game series. They're a stellar addition to any prodigious action figure collection. I love their armaments. I love their wardrobes. I love their armor. Their armor unequivocally augments their defensive capabilities. So, once again, in hindsight, I have no qualms about this purchase and decision. I would have procured more if they were available for under $15 each, but you can only obtain what the market provides. These figurines are relatively lean and slim. I'm unsure whether this particular character is a male or female. The anatomy of this character denotes that she's feminine and not masculine, to say the least. Of course, I would make the arbitrary assumption that this particular character is a female. I would presume and make the arbitrary assumption that this particular character is a male. I have a hunch that this character is a female as well. This variant of Commander Shepard is unequivocally a male. This character embodies the appearance of a male. But of course, I can be wrong. I don't know their genders for sure. I'm just making arbitrary assumptions. And I'll retain my presumptions unless I can be proven otherwise. But I doubt anyone will disprove my arbitrary assumptions because they're likely correct in this context. I hope that you found this video to be enthralling and insightful. Once again, here are some of the figurines within the lot. So for under $75, I can't complain too much. I need to reserve my complaints and defer my complaints till another time. I'm satiated. I'm gratified. I'm content. I take solace in possessing these figurines. I hope that I can retain them for the rest of my final life. Only time will tell whether I can retain them in the pending years or not. Unfortunately, storing action figures, housing them, is a fortune. But they're opened, at least they take up less space than they do when they're closed. So it's more efficient to store them if you open them, rather than if you leave them consigned to their boxes. Nonetheless, I hope that you deem this video once again to be marvelous. I love these stupendous action figures. They're ineffable. They're truly paralines of perfection. They're truly the epitome of perfection. The only modifications that I would have preferred taken place to these figurines encompass finger joint articulation, diaphragm joints, ankle pivots, disc joints in the head, double jointed elbows, double jointed knees, as well as sturdier joints. But other than those aforementioned gripes, I don't have any major complaints about these figurines. As a totality, I would rate this lot to be an 8 out of 10. I deducted a couple points because they lack finger joint articulation and their joints are not as sturdy as they can be. But their sculpts are just unbelievable. They're ineffable. So once again, I hope that you deemed this video to be intriguing. Have a wonderful, marvelous day. Goodbye.